Hey everyone, today I'm going to drive my car through New York City. I'm going to Dyker Heights, Brooklyn from Astoria, Queens. I'm starting off this video at Broadway and Crescent Street. We'll be going over the 59th Street Bridge. Today's date is Saturday, July 6th, 2024. The time is about 1:30 p.m. Temperature is 89 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. I'll be taking the scenic route in this video, going into Midtown Manhattan to the FDR Drive, and then going over the Brooklyn Bridge to the BQE, the Brooklyn Queens Expressway, or Interstate 278. It is the 4th of July holiday weekend, so I don't expect there to be too much traffic. Here on Crescent Street, there's a two-way protected bike lane on the left-hand side. This street used to be 2 car lanes and some parking on the side street, or on the side of the street. This is 36th Avenue, considered by many to be the border between Astoria and Long Island City. Long Island City is a fast-growing neighborhood in Queens. It's right across the river from Midtown Manhattan and connects with many subway lines. This area for the longest time during the 90s wasn't really a developing area. In fact, people were even writing articles on this neighborhood saying how this area would never develop. Meanwhile, areas like Williamsburg, Brooklyn were seeing a lot of influx of development and tall buildings. And it still is to this day. But that all changed when the zoning regulations in Long Island City got changed and all this development started coming up. Building right in front of me is the Altice building. It used to be the Citibank building and the tallest building in Queens, but as you can see now, there's many tall buildings here, some which are even taller than that building there. So right here is the entrance to the Ed Koch Queensboro Bridge, or as the locals like to refer to it also as the 59th Street Bridge. This will go right into Midtown Manhattan. It's also possible to take the upper roadway, but the entrance isn't here. There's one on 21st Street and another one on Thompson Avenue. There's also a few more on-ramps, but for now we're taking the lower roadway. Isn't as scenic as the upper roadway, but it pretty much gets you to the same place. The lower roadway is actually more efficient for getting to 2nd Avenue, whereas the upper roadway is better for going uptown. This bridge was completed in 1909, shortly after the consolidation of the 5 boroughs of New York City in 1898. It was really constructed because the city really wanted a way to connect Queens and Manhattan. And it wasn't always this configuration too. There was a tramway that ran along this bridge. It ran directly to the right of me, where the pedestrian and bike lane is now. And in the future, the southbound outer roadway, which is currently only used for cars, is going to be converted into a pedestrian-only lane, with the north outer roadway just for bikes and other micro-mobility vehicles. So here I'm going to take this off-ramp. It's a better way to get to the FDR Drive. What's really tricky about this off-ramp is that the pedestrian and bike lane that I just mentioned, there is a hairpin turn here, and it comes in conflict with all the cars that are exiting. So I'll have to be really careful here to make sure it's clear before I make a turn. That roller gate in front of me used to be the tramway station. The FDR Drive is straight. Stands for Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the former president of the United States. and it's one of the few freeways in Manhattan. To my knowledge, there's only the FDR Drive, the Harlem River Drive, which the FDR Drive eventually becomes the Trans-Manhattan Expressway, which connects the George Washington Bridge to the Bronx, and the West Side Highway. In order to get FDR Drive south, I'll need to continue driving for a little bit and stay left. It should be very quick to get to the Brooklyn Bridge from here. And right above me, you can see the infrastructure for the congestion pricing that New York State wanted to implement but got put on hold. I don't know when it's going to be activated, but for now the governor wants it put on hold indefinitely. I know it's a very controversial topic to have congestion pricing in New York City, but right now it's not active. Had it been active, I would have been charged to go into Midtown Manhattan. Basically, any vehicle that enters the congestion zone, which is south of 60th Street, needs to pay. And the 59th Street Bridge, since it exits right after 60th Street, you'll get charged. There is an off-ramp that goes north of 60th Street, so it's possible to avoid paying that way, but for other ways you do have to pay getting off and on the 59th Street Bridge. Exit 8 is the entrance to the Queens Midtown Tunnel, connecting to Long Island City, Queens, and the Long Island Expressway. And to the left of me is the East River with gorgeous views. City aren't in the best shape. There's a lot of patchwork and they suffer a lot of wear and tear from heavy vehicles and a lot of car traffic. People are all getting off at 23rd Street. I could also take the next exit coming up, which is East Houston Street and the Williamsburg Bridge. But I figured I'd go over the most iconic bridge in New York City for you all. To the right of me is Stuyvesant Town. It actually started because it was supposed to be housing for all the veterans from World War II. But now it's been privatized. They're very expensive now. Back then they were more affordable. We've got the skyline of Williamsburg, Brooklyn across the river. A rapidly developing neighborhood, especially along the waterfront. That's the Williamsburg Bridge in front of us. This over here is a footbridge. Currently the city is redoing the East River Park. It was very controversial when this project got started because it's due to climate change, and a lot of people felt like they were giving up the park space to make it smaller. This is exit 2, the Brooklyn Bridge, where I'll be getting off. That's the Manhattan Bridge in front of me. Connects Chinatown at Canal Street to downtown Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Bridge also goes to downtown Brooklyn, but its endpoint in Manhattan is New York City Hall. Or the Civic Center, as they call it. Exit for the Brooklyn Bridge. My favorite bridge in New York City, and the oldest one crossing the East River. A hybrid cable stayed suspension bridge. It was called the New York and Brooklyn Bridge when it opened, or the East River Bridge. The designer was John Roebling. Unfortunately, he died before the bridge was completed, and it passed down to Washington Roebling to finish, but he also passed away and it had to be finished by Emily Roebling. Look at all the tourists on the Brooklyn Bridge. Bridge will go over the neighborhood of DUMBO. It's an acronym neighborhood, which means down under Manhattan Bridge overpass. I know that's a mouthful. And it also goes over my favorite park in New York City, Brooklyn Bridge Park. I like it because there's a lot of space and there's a fantastic view of Manhattan from the park. Hard to see most of Manhattan when you're in Manhattan. Here's the off-ramp for the BQE, Brooklyn Queens Expressway. Notorious for traffic, by the way, and parts of the BQE are actually falling apart. There's a section there which is a triple level cantilever deck put in place by Robert Moses. I don't know what the progress with it is right now, but there have been plans to turn it into a tunnel, to completely close it and have traffic go to the local streets, turn it into a pedestrian only area, but no one can seem to agree on what to do with it. So right now it seems like they're just doing patchwork. I know they already removed a lane of traffic from the cantilever deck, which is right in front of me, and also prohibited trucks over a certain weight. Looks like most of these cars are going in the furthest left lane for some reason, but you can still get to it from this lane. There's a lot of great pizza in this area. The most well-known pizza spot here is Grimaldi's, but there's also Giuliana's, which is actually the original pizzeria. What happened was there was a dispute between Patsy Grimaldi, who founded Grimaldi's, but the name was trademarked already, so he couldn't use it, so he opened Giuliana's. But both places are still excellent. And And now look at all this traffic. I wonder if I was able to skip a lot of the traffic by going on the FDR drive compared to the BQE the whole way. Gonna have to try to merge in here. It's a little bit tricky. To the right of me is Brooklyn Bridge Park. They also built a natural hill here to stop noise coming from the Brooklyn Queens Expressway to the park, which is really cool. Look at that guy. BMW. He's actually driving in the part where he's not supposed to. There's the lane that's closed. Above me is a neighborhood called Brooklyn Heights. Very expensive neighborhood to live. This expressway will travel through Cobble Hill, Carrol Gardens, and the Gowanus area. Pretty much forms the border of Carrol Gardens and Red Hook. Seems that traffic's moving pretty quickly here. It's not too much. This part of I-278 is known as the Gowanus Expressway. It's constructed very tall because of the Gowanus Canal. They need the clearance for all the ships. Left of me is the Smith and 9th Street subway on the F and G. Going over to the Verrazano Bridge, I-278 side. area of Brooklyn is known as Sunset Park. There's a lot of different sides to Sunset Park. To the right of me is a lot of industry right by the New York Harbor. There's also Fifth Avenue. Not the same Fifth Avenue as the one in Manhattan that everybody knows, but there's a lot of Hispanic influence on Fifth Avenue. And on 8th Avenue, there's a lot of Chinese influence. It's the largest Chinatown in Brooklyn. And to the right of me here is Industry City. Basically, they're all industrial buildings, all turned into like hip areas, restaurants, art studios, outlets. And this building here hosts the Japan Village, which is really cool. Here's where the freeway splits off. There's the Belt Parkway, which hugs the New York Harbor and goes under the Verrazano Bridge, which connects to Staten Island. And then the I-278 side goes directly over the Verrazano Bridge to Staten Island. But I'll be going to I-278 and getting off at the 86th Street exit to Dyker Heights. Dyker Heights is really known for their extravagant Christmas displays. See the Verrazano Bridge off in the distance. By the way, all the bridges, both bridges that we crossed today, were free to cross. The Verrazano Narrows Bridge is a toll bridge. Tolls by mail rate is $11.19. Also, if you have a non-New York Easy Pass, you'll get charged that rate too. So I explained it a lot better on my ActionKid Extra channel. How out-of-state Easy Passes, they'll get charged a higher rate. A lot of people think that it's the same. I'll be getting off here, the 86th Street exit. I'm not going over this bridge to Staten Island. It's the second to last exit before the toll. Just like that, we are in Dyker Heights, or the border with Bay Ridge. Bay Ridge is over to my right. I see there's a new building here that went up. I think the Ford dealership might be part of it too. But a lot of construction happening everywhere in New York. Anyway, folks, I think I'm going to wrap up my video here. If you enjoy this amazing drive throughout New York City, hit the like button for me, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone. Take care.